Hello, everyone, and welcome to this interview series, this podcast, where we're having a quick little chat with Igor and with Andrej. Great to meet you guys. Let's first start off with an introduction. I can go first. My name is Sean. I'm from SubQuery. SubQuery is an indexing platform with a free SDK, helping developers grab data from the blockchain, from various ecosystems, which we'll talk about shortly, to power their amazing web apps, dApps that they are building, such as dashboard analytics and wallets, for instance. That's my background here. I do a lot of things at SubQuery. So let me jump over to, say, Igor. If you could just give a bit of background about yourself, what you do, your experience, and how long you've been in the blockchain space.
Hi guys, I'm Igor. I've been in the blockchain space for, I would say, 4 or 5 years. A bit more over a year, I've been working on NEAR through Calimero. But before that, I did a bit of Ethereum, like Solidity development, and I was consulting to some blockchain projects. But my main focus now is NEAR and Calimero. And I'm currently at the position of a core team lead at Calimero. And I can later talk a bit more about Calimero.
Great. Thank you, Igor. And let's flick it over to Andrej.
Hi everyone, so I'm Andrej. I've been a software developer for the last 12 years, I believe. I did a lot of Web2 development, and in the last 2.5 years, I switched to Web3, full-time to Web3, even though my first experience with Web3 in general was back in end of 2016, beginning of 2017, I believe. Yeah, I'm CDO of 4.0 Web3 development agency, and I work very closely with the NEAR Balkans hub, helping them with education, workshops, and anything else, basically.
Awesome. Great stuff. Well, I first wanted to start off by understanding a little bit about the Calimero network. So I was wondering if you could give a brief introduction, to a basic 5-year-old, what it is and how it works, Igor.
Yeah, it's always hard in blockchain to explain to a 5-year-old, like all these, so to say, buzzwords. But yeah, basically what Calimero is, it's a layer 2 network on top of NEAR. So what does that mean? It's basically a sidechain of NEAR that offers private sharding. What does this mean? And who is it for? So basically, if you're an enterprise or a government and you want to use blockchain, you don't want to put your sensitive private data on a public chain. So with Calimero, you can have the positive properties of a blockchain, and you can still have interoperability with a public chain through the trustless bridge that we have built. And through this bridge that's currently open sourced and audited, security audited as of last year, you can not only transfer FTs or NFTs, but you can also do cross-chain contract calls if you have the correct permission management set up. So basically what you can do, you can allow for anybody, when you're talking with mainnet, you're essentially talking with anybody, you can allow to read data from private chain, and you can also execute state transitions from Calimero to NEAR and from NEAR to Calimero. And yeah, this is something that's possible to do with NEAR because it's very fast, but we're also exploring some other chains as well. Hopefully that's a bit of
Got it.
description.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I mean, I think I got a lot of the concepts here in terms of, for businesses, it's primarily B2B focused around privacy and, interacting with the mainnet, the public blockchain very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yep.
Well, that's the Calimero network. Now let's jump on to the NEAR network here with Andrej. Maybe again a very simple explanation of NEAR for the newbies that are listening.
Yeah, how do we explain it in a simple way? Let's see. So yeah, well, if I had to explain here in kind of like on a high level, let's say high level concept of it, it's basically a platform that allows you to build decentralized applications, right? But the big thing is it's designed with the web usability in mind. So it's built on top of the NEAR protocol, and NEAR protocol is it's a public sharded proof of stake blockchain, L1 basically. and it employs a unique consensus mechanism, which is called Nightshade. So this mechanism uses sharding, which is really, really cool. It essentially breaks the network into multiple pieces, or as they call them, shards, and processes transactions and stores data simultaneously as well. This is very, very cool because it can significantly boost the scalability and improve it. So I guess this would be kind of like a high-level overview of what NEAR is. Simplest way to explain it's L1 chain, very user-friendly and developer-friendly, low transactions fees, and eco-friendly in the end. Yeah.
Awesome. I know the word sharding was mentioned several times.
Yes.
I heard an explanation. I just want to confirm. Can you think of sharding as, you know, when you take a dictionary and you've got A, B, C, different sections, if you take the A section and cut it out, and then each B cut it out, so that if you're looking for data, you can go straight to the A section or the B section. Is that similar or not quite similar to what sharding is, where you break up, say, a data set into different chunks?
It is. That's what sharding is. Like, it comes from the databases as well, where we have sharding. So basically, yeah, having multiple shards, multiple nodes that have the data, basically.
Got it. Great. Well, what I'll do now is just to give a more detailed background about SubQuery. You may have heard of what we're doing. You may have heard of the graph, actually, in the Ethereum space, blockchain indexer, very big. And we're very similar, actually. Start out in the Polkadot ecosystem, allowing indexing all the different parachains there. And then what we've done is we've gone out into other ecosystems, other chains such as Algorand, Avalanche, Cosmos, and all the zones there, and then also NEAR. So what people can do is use the open source SDK, and then we've got a starter project where we can go and run a very simple project to get data from the NEAR blockchain, index it very quickly. We're talking about like in minutes using a Docker container, right? You don't have to run a node or anything. Then all of a sudden you can customize that starter project, very hands-on, in order to download or access, transfers to, from, value, etc., to drive whatever application that you're building, analytics, a dashboard, as mentioned earlier. So again, just a more deeper explanation of SubQuery there. Which is why we like partnering and talking with other people in different chains to see how we can collaborate, because developers need to get data from the blockchain in order to transform, do all sorts of wonderful things to serve it to their customers.
Yep, cool.
Great. So the next question I have is for Igor Calimero, in terms of, why did you choose NEAR? Was it a logical choice, or could you have picked another blockchain? Or
yeah, I mean, the main reason is that the two guys that started Calimero, they were first infrastructure engineers at NEAR. It was a side project at NEAR, and then it became a separate side company, basically. But apart from that, like, NEAR has some great properties, and I think it's a really great chain. Like, it's developer friendly, it's very fast, it has built-in sharding, theoretically like infinite sharding, although currently on mainnet there's only 4 shards, but they have in their roadmap an explanation through this Nightshade design doc how they're going to achieve it. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. For us, it was a more logical choice than Ethereum, which is probably the biggest with the most developer base currently. But yeah, NEAR is growing, and yeah, I think it's a good choice for us.
Got it. Speaking of ecosystems, and NEAR is growing, if I could jump over to Andrej and try to understand a bit more about how big is the ecosystem, because obviously Ethereum is the initial one, lots of developers, and NEAR is growing. How big do you think NEAR is, and how do you think we can get more developers into the ecosystem?
So listen, I remember back in 2021, I believe, it was already a budding community of developers, I would say. Like, I remember like everyone was interested in it. It really shot off in last year, I would say. Discord community was huge. Everyone was connecting. A lot of developers were getting onboarded. I love the fact that everyone on Discord wanted to help each other. That's something that actually got me attracted to NEAR as well. Like everyone was really, really friendly. Everyone was trying to build cool stuff. Everyone was trying to help each other. Nowadays, the community is even bigger. I believe there is around 750, I think, active projects on NEAR right now. More than 120 DAOs, I believe. Overall, looking at the number of members, I think it's 500K, like the members that are in the community. Developers specifically, if I remember correctly, it's around 4K, I think. Developers active in the community. I mean, the best numbers to see how big the developer community is, of course, the Discord channel, and later on, BOS, blockchain operating system, which we can mention a bit more later on, basically. But looking at the number of components and apps that are built there, which are around like 8,000, more than 8,000 components and more than 200 apps on something that's been around for less than a year, I believe. Like it's a big indicator that the ecosystem is flourishing, that people are building, and that whatever NEAR is doing right now with BOS and everything, it's interesting to developers. I do feel like this big jump in the number of developers happened as soon as the JavaScript SDK was published, the SDK that allowed people to write smart contracts using JavaScript and TypeScript, and an additional bump later on when the blockchain operating system was released.
Got it. Speaking of BOS or BOSS or blockchain operating system, I was wondering if you could explain a bit about that as well. I mean, it's relatively newish, is that correct?
Yeah, it is. It's very new. Yeah, I think it has not been a year since it was published. To be honest, well, basically, BOS is, how to simply explain BOS. It's a really, well, it's an amazing product. Basically, it's a platform that allows you to build apps. So you build components, everything is composable. You build components, other people in the community build components. These components are open source, they're fully transparent. All the code that you write, it's saved on chain. So you can actually see the code is going to be served, it's on chain. And one of the biggest selling points is, well, for developers, some developers, is like you're using TypeScript and JavaScript from top to bottom. Like you can use TypeScript to write your smart contract. You can use TypeScript to build your UI component, right? I build my UI component, I publish it, someone else uses my UI component. This is just part of the BOS. So this is the development part of the BOS, but it's also a community. It's an entire social community where people can post stuff, discuss stuff. It became a place where guilds and DAOs are doing most of their work. People are deploying something called gateways, which is basically their own instances of the BOS that are customized and built for whatever needs they have. So basically, what BOS is a platform that allows you to build quickly deployed apps, right? So it's a way for someone who doesn't have a lot of Web3 experience they can build an app on their own. They don't have to be an expert in it. So BOS basically holds your hand and allows you to build this app. For me, one of these more philosophical and more important aspects of BOS, aside from like developer accessibility or user friendliness, is actually the fact that it provides projects with a single gateway, single place where people can actually find their project. It gives you visibility. So on iOS, we have the App Store. On Google, we have the Google Play Store. In NEAR ecosystem, we have BOS, right? So this is something that I really like, because this is a big issue currently in Web3, I would say. It's this discoverability, visibility, right? And this is something that BOS is trying to resolve together with the user onboarding, with products such as Fast Auth, which allows users to easily onboard themselves, open up a wallet, get some NEAR, get some sponsored transactions. They don't have to worry about seed phrases. So This is something that will allow us to get more users involved with NEAR's ecosystem right now, and they will just come onto BOS immediately. They will see the social network, and then they will also see the dApps that they can use. And I think this is really, really amazing. This is a correct step forward, and I think it's very, very relevant for startups that need visibility and that need a fast way to get their projects out into the hands of the users.
Awesome.
I hope this
It does sounds very interesting indeed. Speaking on some of the cool features, let me just pull in Igor and get your thoughts on some of the cool features on NEAR and maybe some of the challenges that you see, if any, on the NEAR platform and the stuff that you're doing with your network.
Yeah, just before that, to expand on Andrej's explanation of BOS, I just wanted to also mention that that's the latest push that we are doing as the company is starting to build components on BOS on top of Calimero. So basically just a quick explanation. What we are trying to do is that we figured out that a lot of Web3 companies, they're using centralized solutions for their day-to-day work. For example, they use Slack for chat. They use Jira for project management. They use all these kind of tools, and they're preaching decentralization while putting all of their sensitive data to the big corp, you know.
Yeah.
So with BOS, we are trying to, we are doing this. We are trying to recreate all of these experiences through BOS. So you'll be able to have a chat app that's stored on your private chain. You would have Jira, you would have Trello, you would have Google Doc, and of course, there's a lot of development challenges for that, but I think that we will overcome them. And to get back to your question, what are some of the good things on developing on NEAR and what are some of the challenges? I think I can give an eye from the prism of coming from Ethereum to NEAR. I think that NEAR is more developer friendly to Web2 developers. Why? Because, for example, on NEAR, out of the box, you can upgrade contracts, which on Ethereum, I mean, you can upgrade contracts, but you need to do a lot of side work. And here you can, out of the box, upgrade them until you delete the full access key, which is then visible on the Explorer in case somebody is asking, oh, but then it's not immutable and stuff like that. But you can have it immutable as well. Out of the box, all of the addresses on NEAR are human readable, like they don't have the OX hexadecimal code. And for example, the NEAR testnet, I found it more usable than Ethereum's. Why? For example, for me at least, it was easier to acquire NEAR testnet tokens than on Ethereum, where you need to find a faucet and then you need to, I don't know, put something on Twitter so they realize, oh, it's not a bot. And on NEAR, it's much easier. Like a lot of these things, I think that when NEAR was being developed, it was in mind of coming from Web2, like how to get really a big amount of developers, not like just enthusiasts. But yeah, as far as challenges, I would say like maybe since it's a relatively new platform, sometimes when you Google it, when you say NEAR something, you won't really get like the best Google search results. But I think this has improved over the year. I think it will only improve.
Got it.
That's what comes to my mind at first. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. One thing that comes to my mind is, and I'm a huge fan of learning is doing, right? So I jumped onto both websites, right, to see if typically is there like a quick start guide, or can someone who's interested get access and run a simple hello world? What I found on the Calimero network is there was something like book a demo or contact us, right? So is it kind of like a slightly different approach because it's B2B, right? There's nothing you can download and do. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. But we are trying to change this by deploying a public Calimero chain that will be accessible by anyone, because it's much easier than to schedule a demo and go through everything. So you don't need to really be an enterprise. You can only be like a small indie developer and try and see what's going on here. But this is something, yeah, I think we've we've learned that this approach might be better, and we need to just open it.
Got it. Got it.
But you're correct. Yeah, that's how currently it is.
Awesome. And I'll throw the same question over to Andrej as well, because I did see the quick start on the NEAR website, which is really useful. Is that how you recommend?
Oh yeah, that's like, so listen, before I went full time into Web3, like, as I said, my first experience with Web3 was back in like end of 2016, beginning of 2017. Like everything was new, everyone was doing Ethereum, was learning Solidity, and at that point I looked at the documentation for Solidity and EVM in general, and I was like, oh no, this is not gonna work. Like this is just not enough. No, I don't want to touch this. This is not gonna work for me. So later on, when I came back to Web3, someone actually mentioned, like, take a look at NEAR. This is a cool project. I went to NEAR, and as developer as I am, the first thing I did was like developers, click on developer stuff. And when I saw the number of tutorials they had, the amount of documentation that was there, and specifically one thing, the thing that completely sold me was like NFTs for Web2 developers or something like that. And it was an entire article on their official website on how to implement an NFT smart contract with the existing Web2 system that still can use JVT tokens to authenticate users. I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. These guys understand that you do not create new Web3 developers, you take Web2 developers and you educate them about Web3. So this was a big selling point for me. I was just like, okay, yeah, this is amazing. And I do feel like the examples that NEAR has, they're really, really good. Both smart contract examples for Rust and the smart contract examples in JavaScript and TypeScript for the JavaScript SDK. One thing that I like about all of those examples that I always like recommend everyone to do is basically you can jump in, and most of those examples have this button that you can just open up in Gitpod. So it will run a virtual instance on GitHub. Basically, you get your VS Code in the browser, and it will build the entire project. You can immediately play around with it, so you don't have to come in and install a bunch of stuff just to get your first taste of building on NEAR. You can like have all of this in a Gitpod environment. And I loved that at the beginning, and it was amazing. Nowadays, if someone needs to dip their toes into a NEAR ecosystem, yes, documentation is amazing, the tooling is amazing. For example, one of the things that I loved from the beginning is Pagoda Console, for example, that where you can come in, log in, just choose one of the templates. I want to deploy an NFT contract template. Poof, it's deployed. I want to set up alerts for their indexer. Yes, I can set up alerts. I want to receive a message on my Telegram every time someone mints an NFT, for example. Or even better, I want to receive, I don't know, a notification to my webhook every time a transaction fails, so I can get some logs, which is a big thing in Web3, right? You do want to have some logs and not go onto the Explorer to see them. So those kind of things, those are like specifically Web2 things, I would say. And seeing someone already build those things for Web3 purposes and just making them user-friendly and developer-friendly, I really love that. So I think this is a big selling point when it comes to NEAR. Getting this easy user onboarding, which is even easier now with BOS, of course. Being able to see all of these open source components from the community, just putting them together, building something of your own, deploying it in 2 clicks, it's an amazing experience. It gives you the sense of the achievement, and I think this is the big thing. Like usually when people come into Web3, they have this huge wall that they have to overcome, and for me at least with NEAR, the entire time it was like small wins until I actually climbed the wall completely, right? Like you never really climb the wall with anything, but at least you feel like you're closer to the top, right? So so I think this is a big thing when it comes to NEAR, and I'm a big fan of having extensive documentation, having tutorials, and in general, one big thing actually for me is having the community. You know, like every time I hit a bump in the road, I would just go to Discord and I would ask in Discord, and not only did I get the help from the community, I would get help from the NEAR's Pagoda team, for example. So they would be there. They would have office hours, like as if you're in college, and like you have office hours with your professor in
Yeah.
the college. You can
Yeah.
actually connect with them and tell them like, this is the issue that I'm experiencing. Like, can you help me? And you have them here from NEAR, and then you have like community members as well, and everyone wants to help. So I think this is something that fosters a good mentality, good developer community, and in the end, gets people to build cool products.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think you made some really good points there, Andre, particularly around the first one where you mentioned about taking developers from Web 2 to Web 3, where a lot of people are saying, hey, we should all do Web 3 as this new mind shift, right? That can be quite sudden, but if you can help them transition across, then everyone can follow that across that bridge, right? And documentation, community, absolutely right. That's what it's all about. So some awesome points.
Thank you.
Cool. I don't know if Igor, if you had any remarks around that.
No, I think that Andrej covered it really well. So yeah.
Cool. Well, let me just ask one final question, more looking towards the future now, right? I mean, you got an option of two questions, right? The first one is, where do you think NEAR is going? And then the second question, which you can also maybe, if you want to answer, is we know AI is huge these days, right? You can't avoid it. I mean, kids are doing their homework on AI, right? So I want to know if AI plays a part in the future of NEAR, if at all. I'm not sure, right? But maybe your thoughts around that.
Yeah, just I don't know if you knew this, but the paper attention is all you need, which basically is the building stone of the ChatGPT and all these large language models, was actually the Ilya Polusuhin, who built. I mean, he was one of the first guy who co-founded NEAR. He is the co-author of that paper.
Wow.
So, yeah. But basically, what I think that NEAR has great potential in attracting more developers from all the points that we talked today about. It's very scalable, so I think like it's a choice that if I were starting a company or something, I would choose NEAR now. Like it's at this point, it's NEAR over Ethereum. I think like at least if you have enough knowledge about these two, you choose NEAR probably. So I think the future is bright. As far as AI, I mean, this is a complex topic. Like nobody knows what will happen. Like we'll see. There's probably some intertwingling between AI and blockchain that currently I do not see, but I don't know.
Got it. Same question over to Andre here around the future and any potential AI impact.
So the future is BOS, of course. So I think when it comes to the future of the NEAR, I think BOS is going to play a huge role there. One of the big things that I expect to be even better in the future NEAR are basically user onboarding that's already being worked on, bringing in more like regular users from the Web 2 into the Web 3, opening up wallets for them, sponsoring the transactions and getting them to use Web 3 dApps, basically. That's one of the things. Second thing that I think it's going to be the future is basically BOS is going to become the go-to kind of like a place to find the projects, not just for the users, but also for the VCs, investors, and angels, and so on. So I do expect a lot more startups and companies are going to go and directly build on top of BOS. So that's one of the big things that I expect there in the future. When it comes to AI, I don't really see AI as like something I can integrate directly with NEAR at this point, but I can see it as an addition for developers, for example. I would be more than happy to use some kind of an extension for VS Code that would have some AI capabilities in the background that would help me write specifically smart contracts, for example. Maybe like, yes, I'm using GitHub Copilot, for example, but if there was a specific extension, a trained model that was pre-trained on a bunch of smart contracts from NEAR, specifically for NEAR, that would be even cooler, for example, or using AI to analyze the transactions coming, incoming and outgoing from the smart contracts. Maybe trying to get that information and make that transaction information more user friendly for the Web2 users, like in the end. So for me, I see that kind of potential in AI, for example.
Got it. Awesome. Let me just change the screen here. And just do a quick wrap up. Again, thank you so much for being on the chat today. Really awesome insights into obviously NEAR and Calimero network, and a little bit about SubQuery as well. Really appreciate your time. Any leaving or end remarks that you guys would want to make?
No, thank you for having us. Basically, no plugs.
Yeah, thank you.
No problems. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.